Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, sorry if it looks a little bit dark, my ring light broke, but maybe the videos will look a little bit less red because I got this warm light above me and then a warm light casting on my face, and maybe it'll make things look a little bit less red. And if we take a quick check-in on the Social Blade page, we are 8 days away from hitting 1,000 subscribers. Now, initially, the projection was like a June 30th or June 29th, so you guys have done an amazing job cutting that down. Just thank you so much for the support that we've had going on here on the channel lately. I promise you, I will be putting in the work. So if you're new here, say hi down in the comment section because I do try to be fairly responsive down there. And consider subscribing because we are getting really close to moving on to bigger and better things. But in today's video, you guessed it, it is the series where I don't provide the content and sometimes you guys provide the content. If you would like to be featured in one of these reacting to Armchair GMs, I figured I would change it from reviewing to reacting because reacting seems to be a little bit of a kinder word in terms of the YouTube search engine. You always got to try and find ways to get more eyes and more people on the channel here, because if we can do that, we can make these videos bigger and better for everyone. And don't worry, we'll still be responsive in the comment section. I remember who all of the original subscribers here on the channel are. So if you would like to be featured in one of these videos, all you have to do is come over to Capfriendly.com, create an account. That's an important thing, or otherwise you will not be able to save your Armchair GM. You go over to the interactive tab, select your team, select the year, fill out your lineup, publish it, and then post it in the comments section of my previous reacting to Armchair GMs video. Otherwise, I will not be able to find it. So if you leave it in the comment section of the previous Armchair GM video, I will be able to find it. All right, let's get my Saturday morning, I mean, it's 1 p.m., but let's get my Saturday started nice and simple here. The RFA signings here aren't that bad. I mean, Travis Dermott on a 3-year deal for $2.25 million. You might be able to get him uber cheap on a 1 or a 2-year deal, just for the sake of next season because things are going to be so tight. You might want him on a 1-year deal. They might not be able to afford him on a 3-year deal, but Mikheyev, 2 years, $1.5 million, I don't mind it. Maybe a little bit too cheap, maybe $1.5 million on a 1-year deal, but it's still doable in the perspective for next season. And let's just get this straight before I reveal, well, I guess I already revealed the other trades there, but if Travis Dermott shot right-handed, he would be being included in all of the Maple Leafs' future plans. And I mean, he did play on the right side in junior and in the American Hockey League. So let's give him a little bit of time to see if he can do it at the NHL level before we just trade away this asset and this player that we've spent years developing already. Kyle Clifford coming back 1 year, $1 million. Perfectly okay with that. And the first trade here, Frederik Gauthier and Andreas Johnsson for Mark Jankowski. Now, I believe Jankowski was going to be included in the original Nazem Kadri deal that got nixed by Kadri because he had a no-trade clause, and Calgary was one of the teams on his list, but it was originally supposed to be TJ Brodie, who's going to be a UFA this year, just like Tyson Barrie and Mark Jankowski, but the Maple Leafs opted to go with Tyson Barrie and Alexander Kerfoot. So you're getting Mark Jankowski here for Andreas Johnsson and Frederik Gauthier. I mean, Frederik Gauthier is going to be an expiring RFA, so I mean, he's kind of just a body thrown in on that trade. I don't know if Andreas Johnsson carries that much value in a trade. I mean, let's take a look at how good Mark Jankowski is. I mean, if we're comparing Mark Jankowski to Andreas Johnsson here, I mean, I definitely think that Jankowski is more a player that Toronto would need next season, as he is a little bit better defensively, but Andreas Johnsson in that 18-19 season, if the Maple Leafs can get him going on that level again, that's a very valuable top 6 forward who I don't think that they're going to be able to afford at the cap hit that he's going to be commanding next season, especially with how tight things are being. So he probably is going to be a casualty of the salary cap this upcoming season, but he does have, it's like hip surgery or something like that he's coming off of. So I don't know how much value he has in a trade, but Mark Jankowski would definitely be acceptable, because if you're looking at his 18-19 season compared to his 19-20 season, and these analytics aren't the be-all, end-all, but it's just like a quick surface analysis here, the difference between his 18-19 season and his 19-20 season was his deployment. If you're looking at his offensive zone starts starts this year compared to his defensive zone starts this year, he was primarily used as a defense-first player. And then if you're looking at the 18-19 season, in a much more neutral role, he was able to produce better advanced analytics at 5-on-5. But still, fairly impressive that he was able to produce these kind of numbers while playing a heavy defensive role, which is a centerman that the Maple Leafs would kind of need on this team. So I think maybe the Maple Leafs would have to add a little bit more in that trade, especially because of the health of Andreas Johnsson. If Andreas Johnsson was just healthy, I said that they don't have to add anything, maybe like a little bit of a sweetener on there, but the fact that he is coming off of a serious injury and is going to require surgery, they might have to add like a third round pick on top of it, which I'm totally okay with doing. Okay, and I mean, Evolving Hockey or Evolving Wild on Twitter has him projected to sign a $1.6-ish million deal for one season. I mean, he is going to be 25. Yeah, that'd be a player that I would like the Maple Leafs to maybe go out and target. And I mean, the last trade there, William Carrier for Alexander Kerfoot, I don't really know. I don't really like that trade too much. I don't really... William Carrier is kind of just a fourth line player, and he signed kind of forever at $1.4 million there. And you got $1 million in cap space, and you have 2 extra forwards here. So, I mean, if you were to send down Igor Korshkov and just not make that trade and just use the extra cap space, you'd be at $3.335 million, and Alexander Kerfoot makes $3.5 million. You just find the extra, like, 100 and whatever K that is, and I think I would just keep Kerfoot at that point. Because Kerfoot, while you might not think that he had a great season this year, you have to remember that he broke his jaw, couldn't really eat for a week and a half. It's kind of important for a pro athlete. After Jeff Carter hit him, he wasn't really the same player. Before that, he was on pace for about 40 points or so, and he can play center, whether you like him there or not, whether you like him on the wing a little bit more. The versatility is nice to have in the lineup, so if you could fit him in here, yeah, I'm not making that William Carrier trade. But I mean, the defense, I don't really know too much about this Tyler Lumington, but I would assume you just have Rasmus Sandin in there. It's not really too much of an upgrade. Yeah, if you're getting Travis Dermott for a little bit cheaper, you definitely have enough money to just keep Alexander Kerfoot here, but you're not really upgrading the defense too much here. Maybe upgrading the defense is something that you look more towards the trade deadline with something like this, because if Rasmus Sandin really solidifies himself as a top 6 guy, maybe he develops a little bit more of a penalty killing side, or he becomes an elite guy on the power play, maybe it forces your hand to have him in the lineup full time and commanding more and more minutes. Then it justifies maybe trading a Travis Dermott at the trade deadline, that is. But at this point, I'm not really a huge fan of the defense here. So let's click on this next one here. Trade with the Panthers by Trickster. And I had an interesting idea that if the NHL were to award compliance buyouts to teams, that the Maple Leafs could trade with the Panthers to take on Sergei Bobrovsky's contract and buy it out, because the Panthers have been having some money problems as of late, and using a compliance buyout their own on Sergei Bobrovsky would not alleviate that problem. It would alleviate the cap space, but they'd still have to pay him those real dollars over the course of the buyout. But it would be almost $40 million in real money, and the Maple Leafs are rich, but I don't know if they're that rich. So let's see here. He's got Lucas Wallmark and Owen Lundmark going to the Maple Leafs for Andreas Johnsson, and the additional details say with Hoffman and Dadonov both gone as unrestricted free agents, the Panthers are going to need a little bit more offensive kick, and we've talked about Lucas Wallmark before. I think he's a very, very good fourth-line center who can play on your penalty kill, so he can play a little bit more minutes than just a normal fourth-line center, but he can also be a decent fill-in on the third line as well, just like a nice little player here. And then 2 7th-round picks for Jeremy Bracco and Dennis Malgin. I don't get why people are hating on Dennis Malgin. I don't think a lot of people realize that Dennis Malgin is actually younger than Igor Korshkov and has played almost 200 NHL games. And that's not a knock on Igor Korshkov, but a lot of people still consider him a prospect, and maybe he will become better than Dennis Malgin. But at this point in their careers, Igor Korshkov has played 1 game. He's scored 1 goal. Dennis Malgin has played almost 200 NHL games and has 60, 65 career points. I don't know why people are so quick to just cast him away. Now, you see, I'm not too impressed with this team. They got Travis Dermott, Erasmus Sandin on the bottom pairing there. Mikko Lehtinen on the top pairing with Morgan Rielly. I mean, you can kind of just flip-flop those two pairings. They're kind of interchangeable. Jake Muzzin and Justin Holl will probably play against the stronger competition, but I don't know. I think we've kind of been misled about Mikko Lehtinen, that he's just this offensive guy. I think he's more of a two-way defender, and I think he'll surprise a lot of us. But I don't know. I think I would take this a little step forward here. You got $1.6 million in cap space. You got a forward on the fourth line making $1.5 million here. I don't know. I just think that there's more that you can do with this Maple Leafs team. And if you guys are interested in me doing a video maybe on 3 or 4 different variations of an Armchair GM with a little bit different scenarios playing out, hit the like button on this video, and I will do that the very next video. So maybe like Monday or Tuesday. Monday. It'll be out Monday if you guys really want it. Okay, and I'm gonna click on 2 of them here because it's been something that I've kind of been preaching here. Sandin and Liljegren will get more ice on the minors, and all right, nope. All right, maybe this next one here will help me illustrate my point a little bit more without something crazy popping up, but just like a very simple, very basic one. Andreas Johnsson going to any team that needs scoring, and Dallas, if you look at their point totals from this season, even guys like Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, kind of underwhelming here. And I mean, you got Nick Roberts in there, which I like, but I don't know. This could be better, which is why I want to do a video pumping out 3 or 4 different variations, because I think that we've shown here on the channel in the past that we could be a little bit more creative with this to improve the defense and kind of keep some of the forward depth there, because it's key. You want to improve the defense, but you also don't want to sacrifice too much of that forward depth. I think that we could do it. Monday is definitely the day that we're going to be doing it. So let's just go one more crazy one so I can put that in the thumbnail and the title and make the video clickbait here. But Jack Eichel to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's see what he has to say here. Just Jack Eichel coming over for Mitch Marner, Timothy Liljegren, Semyon Dargansteinstev, Igor Korshkov, Andreas Johnsson, a first and a second. Now, if we're looking at this trade from an analytics perspective here, Jack Eichel kills Mitch Marner, especially when we're looking at the most recent seasons for these two players. Jack Eichel is the way better player, and he's signed longer, and he's cheaper. So it's just like if you're trading a franchise player in Jack Eichel and just getting an elite player back in Mitch Marner, the Maple Leafs would have to add a lot more in there. And Timothy Liljegren has potential, but he's not really a surefire thing, so I could see how you'd have to add more beyond just those two guys. And a first-round pick, I mean, if the Maple Leafs are as good as we would hope that they would be, that would just be like a later round thing, and that's still not enough for Jack Eichel. So, I mean, Marner, Liljegren, first, maybe you're throwing another prospect on top of that. Maybe like a guy like Mikhail Abramov, or I don't know. I don't know what it would cost to actually realistically pull them out, but pull Jack Eichel out of Buffalo. But I mean, I'm not really too upset about this kind of package. I mean, it might just take more, because this might just be quantity over quality in terms of from Buffalo's point of view here. But let me know down in the comment section, what would be a fair trade for Jack Eichel? Are we throwing Rasmus Sandin in there? Because if it's Mitch Marner, Rasmus Sandin, and a first round pick, then I think that, yeah, you're probably getting closer there. But if it's just Marner, Liljegren, and a first year, definitely adding something on top of that. Because, any trade that the Buffalo Sabres would hypothetically make for Jack Eichel, they're going to be losing, because he's a franchise player. It's not going to be Eric Lindros for Peter Forsberg and all those other guys that the Quebec Nordiques received. But just looking at the lines here, that would be pretty cool to have Jack Eichel and Austin Matthews on the same line playing together, because you just know that they'd have just instant chemistry just like that. And at this point I wouldn't even care about the defense, because Jack Eichel would be a Toronto Maple Leaf. And I hope that people don't take that last one too seriously, more just something that I can throw in there for the title and the thumbnail of the video. I thought it was reasonable, okay? I definitely not Marner first and Liljegren. That's definitely not enough to get that done. But Let me know if you guys liked the video or not. Make sure to leave me a like if you did like it. Subscribe for more because more is always on the way. And guys, look for that video that I'm going to be posting Monday. Gonna look to do maybe like a radical Armchair GM for next season with a lot of changes. And then 2 that are kind of more realistic to what I think is going to happen or what I would like to see happen. And then 1 that's kind of like a compromise between the 2. So look for that Monday and take care, everyone.